I guess we're getting into concerns. So why don't we go into the biggest concerns for the 49ers before we turn negative organically? What makes you feel like things could, go wrong this year? Maybe they could miss the playoffs again.
Honestly, like I think of concerns as like, what are the biggest question marks on the team, and I still think number one is Brock Purdy. It's which version are we getting of him? Like, is it the 1.5 year version we saw in, first year of his career where it was nice in 2022, really good in 2023, and then blah last year? Or like, which version are we getting? Are we getting in between? Are we getting better? Are we getting worse? Because I just so much could have been mitigated last year if he just like was just saw just a quarter more of made the quarter more better decisions, took care of the football better, and just saw receivers open. Like there was just times like I remember in the game against the Cardinals, George Kittle was open in the red zone, and then you got a Miami game where Debo. It's just is he going to open his eyes and actually see what's out there? Is he going to be too frantic? Like I'm not sure exactly why he was like that last year, other than the insinuation that there's no McCaffrey. But to me, it's just, that's my biggest concern is like, where's he going to look like? Because if I have a question mark about a quarterback, that's a huge concern. Like, oh my God, like we don't know what he is yet. Like, I get it. Like maybe you want to say, if you want to take the side of 2024 was a whiff, like, okay, it's more than fair. But I'm just which version are we going to see now? Like, which one is that? Did he? And remember, last week we talked about bad habits. Is he into those bad habits? Are they out? Was it just a 1 year blip? We're going to see. I just again, if your question mark is surrounding a quarterback, that's my concern. So is he like? Does he get better? He's a huge variable to me, and I don't like that. I don't like having a variable as a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, people talk about him like he's proven so much. He started 36 games in the NFL. I don't think you know anything about it. I don't think you know that much about a quarterback after 36 starts. I mean, we've seen the last couple of years quarterbacks sort of like get their career together after 50, 60 starts of misery. Look at Sam Darnold. So, I mean, a lot of it depends on just like what team you're on and who your coach is, who your teammates are, especially that early in your career. So he had a great 2023. He didn't have a great 2024. We don't know who he is. Also, the other thing with him, and I think with the whole team, is like injuries. Brock missed 2 games last year. He got hurt 2 times. And I really felt like he was doing some heroic stuff to not miss more games. He knew he had this big contract extension looming over his head. He couldn't miss the final half of the season. So he went out there and was playing awfully. Like, he was terrible in Buffalo. I don't know if he should have even played that game. Look, he couldn't throw a ball. Maybe it was because it was snowing. But now that he's paid, now that he has guarantees, now that he really needs to protect his body for the future, how many games is he going to miss this year? How many players on the 49ers are we expecting to actually play 17 games this year? You want to know the list of players on the Niners who actually played 17 games last year and are still on the team? Jake Brendel, Dominic Puni, Kyle Juszczyk, Fred Warner, Renardo Green, and Jair Brown. Those 6. Everyone else missed time on the whole team. Even Jake Moody. Did you lose me or did I lose you?
One of us did. Well, I'm back now.
You're back.
I don't know if that was me or you.
Sorry about it. Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. Use promo code COHN, COHN, and download the app now.
No, but I heard 95% what you said, because he was, and even especially towards the later end of the year, when the game started mattering, getting more high stakes, he just started. Again, this is what I think. This is why I'm like so certain that it's because there was no Christian McCaffrey. Because the first half of the year, he was fine. He was okay. I think could have been better. Should have been a lot better. I felt like he left a lot on the table. He left a lot on the table versus actually making bad errant plays, which I guess you could probably interpret as bad errant plays as well. But I'll soften it a little. Just said he could have played better and he was fine. And then the second half of the year when the game started, because it's the truth, whether it's the second half of a season / second half of a game, it's more pivotal than they are in the first half of a season / first half of a game. The stakes become higher as the playoff rates gets tighter and tighter. You feel your skin begins to crawl. You get those goosebumps. You feel that oh my God, you start getting like those bricks feeling upon your chest, like you're just so much pressure on you. And you saw him start to crack. Like it's why he has so many. Like, how many picks did he throw like in the fourth quarter, second half of last year? Wasn't there a stat like most of his picks came in that?
I think it was 10. He
Oh
was
my
10 in
God!
the
So
second
basically,
half,
all of them.
2 in the first half, 2 in the first half, 10 in the second half. Yeah.
And that was the case. Remember last year too. I mean, 2023 during those losing streaks, he was throwing those picks late in Minnesota, Cincinnati, and it's like I remember that Cincinnati game. He was playing really well the first 3 quarters. He was playing. He was excelling. He looked great in that Cincinnati game. But then what happened? Back-to-back picks, led to touchdowns, led to points. And it's like, you know what? When you throw him in that moment, that just washed away everything you did before that. I'm sorry, those are the rules. Because like you turn over the ball, that's so huge. That's so huge, especially given the late of the game, given where it was in that territory. And I just couldn't help but remember, like, same thing against the Detroit game. Like, that was pretty much your last, like, harassment. I mean, I think at that point they were pretty much dead, but like you were trying, and he was making these. How does he look in those situations when the games start getting tighter? He might look pretty strong as well in the first 4 or 6 games this year. What happens if like, oh, Niners are in the playoff contention, but they're like only a game ahead. These games are getting so tight. Or just even in the fourth quarter, Niners are up by 3. Can he do it? Or down by 7? That's where it's really going to. That's where the contract he got is going to start to get thrown in his face. Because it's like, look, man, like we paid you because we thought your 2023 would be that way, but you can't be the reason they lose. You know, it's one thing like you weren't the reason they won. You just cannot be the reason they lose. And last year he was the reason they lost at least like 4 games.
It's so true, man. And we know he's had some nice moments at the end of playoff games, like at the end of the Packers game, although he threw some picks and some passes that should have been picked in that game that weren't. Loves threw some passes that should have been picked that were. He had some nice runs against the Lions the next week, but his biggest throw against the Lions was a pass that hit a DB in the face and then bounced into Brandon Ayuk's hands. So in his regular season career, which is 36 starts, in the fourth quarter of close games, so fourth quarter, game within 7 points either way, up or down. Here are his career numbers, and you can look this up on ESPN. Look at their splits. 59.4% completions, 4 touchdown passes, 7 picks, 70.9 passer rating. That's what we're talking about with Brock. When he stormed into the league, all of a sudden the Niners were just blowing teams out, and the game was over by mid-third quarter, which was cool. It was great. But those days are over. The team isn't built like that anymore. He makes too much money. So they're going to be in close games. We saw a preview of it last year. They lost all but one. And a lot of it was because of him. He needs to play better in close games because those are like Jimmy's better than that in close games. And Jimmy's not good.
You just have to wonder, maybe like, remember how all of us were getting on Kyle Shanahan's like, why are you running Christian McCaffrey and you're up by 7 or 10 in the fourth quarter? Maybe that's the reason why. He's like, because I trust McCaffrey at this stage and I do Brock, maybe. But that's an idea. And then also in general, like McCaffrey's just a better player. So of course you're going to trust your better player in that late of a stage than, you know, someone who's not as good as him, obviously. Yeah, man, he's just, and that I think to avoid those situations too. If you're Brock, like, look, if you're not going to get better in those situations, you have to get better when you have the opportunities early on. When you are in those red zone situations in the second and first quarter, like you can't be missing a wide open McCaffrey in the flat or wide open post routing George Kittle. You have to find him and hit him, and that's the thing. Like, I just remember seeing so many times in the first half of the season, just like this guy's missing wide open receivers. Like you can go, everyone's going to be like, oh, every quarterback does that. Yeah, of course, every quarterback does that. And it's going to happen again this year. But when it comes to such an alarming rate where it's just like, and it's led by like bad decision or bad choice, like after that didn't salvage, it's just, that's got to change. And especially when it gets more pressure, like he's probably not going to be better in that late stages, or maybe he will be. But again, if he's not, let's assume he's never going to be that quarterback that can rise to the occasion in those late stages. Then the way to beat that is like, you got to be better early on. You got to take advantage of those situations when they arise. You can't just be like, oh, we got to live to fight another down. It's going to be another one. You have to capitalize.
I think the Niners' concerns are bigger than Brock. He's the
biggest.
They are. Well, he's the quarterback. But let's look at it. I'm gonna ask you some questions. I'm gonna name some players, and you tell me if you think they will play 17 games this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Brock.
No. Oh. Yes.
Played 15 last year. You think he'll play for 17? But you had to think about it.
Yeah, I did. I had to think about it.
I got more. Nick Bosa.
No.
He played 14 last year. Christian McCaffrey.
No. I don't believe him.
Trent Williams.
No, of course. He's number 1. What the heck?
Brandon Ayuk.
Is this like including? Are we judging him from the moment he comes back?
Will he play 17 games this year?
Oh, of course not.
Ayuk. No.
Honestly,
George
I think
Kittle.
even if he comes back, say he comes back like week 7, I think he's probably missing a game 2, maybe.
George Kittle.
No, he never gets. He'll miss like 2 or 3 games always.
Ricky Pearsall.
Heck no.
Michael Williams.
Oh, he's got that quad, but and a hamstring now. Let's say yes.
Alfred Collins.
Is he the one that's dealing with something? That's CJ West right now.
Calf hasn't practiced yet. CJ West is good.
Probably not, dude. Probably not.
So that's the core of the team right there. I mean, Lynch wants to talk about we got a great core. We've added some youth the last couple of drafts. Man, your first round pick last year, your first round pick this year, your second round pick this year. Hurt. This team is constantly investing in players who get hurt. And I don't understand why they did it under Trent Baalke and they do it under John Lynch. It's a very much like a smartest guy in the room thing. Like the rest of the league doesn't value these players. So we have an opportunity to get all these incredible talents that the rest of the league. You know why the rest of the league doesn't want them? Because they're hurt, dude. Because they're hurt. Parag, Jed, whoever thinks this is a good idea. I don't know, man. That's how I feel. Like I like Michael Williams, but he's hurt again and he was hurt last year. And I'm like, of course, dude. Niners.
So that's funny, yeah, about the Michael thing, because I did not want the 49ers to draft him. And now he's drafted him, I'm like more warmed up to it, but I'm still like, we'll see. Because maybe I'm just a big like you don't draft like elite run defenders like that high. But I get it. Like he's got Brooks Austin who covers Georgia Bulldog, their sister site, like kind of convinces me more, but still it's like the reason I remember, especially like what put the finalization of me kind of being not so fond of Michael Williams was like weeks before the draft, like he couldn't get through like a full workout because he was still lingered by an injury, and I was like, wait, the same injury that he had like back in November, he's still bothered by that? Like what's going on? I think it was his ankle. Yeah, his sprained ankle, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like it still hasn't healed. Brother, you are young. You should be like spry after like 4 weeks, like not like this long. Like, and even if like he gets like a full bill of health, all those guys, it's like injuries happen in the league, even without these guys having an injury history. And it's like you're putting so much on your chips on the table on all these young guys. You're just asking for a very rough defensive year. If not performance wise, just bodies wise. Like, where do you go? Like, now you're gonna have to rely on these Kevin Gibbons, these Sam's Oko, or I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't want to butcher it and be messed up. But
Okwanu.
Yeah. You're gonna rely on these guys, and it's just gonna be like just a bunch of bodies out there that are just like, all right, who are these guys? Like, no one's. It's just. I'm just very concerned of just like that. Like the depth's better, but it's still like. I don't know.
It's not that great. It's not proven. And what I don't like about the Niners is like in the NFL, and the Niners will say it too. What do they always say? What's the best availability? What's the best ability? Availability, right? They always say that. Like, of course, it's the best ability. All right, well then how come no one on your team has how come 6 players on your team have this ability? Juszczyk has it. Fred Warner has it, but you don't have nearly enough players who have this ability, which everyone said is the most important ability. You have tough guys, you have fast guys, you have explosive guys, but like actual durable players, few and far between on the 49ers. And then every year they're like, well, if we could just stay healthy, we'd be the best. Yeah, but look how you build your team.
And you can even go past those core guys that they invested in, like Jair Brown coming off an ankle scope. Like he's going to start training camp raw. And it's like he already is kind of, Staffa on a torn ACL, which is crazy that everyone found out like 4 months later.
Second one, you drafted Curtis Rourke with the torn ACL.
I say the bright side about Mustafa is that's the same ACL he messed up, which is good. Because if that was a good ACL he messed up, that's like, oh my God. Because like if it's the same ACL, it's like, okay, that's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but it's like it's better than the healthy one. So it's just, I'd say like to not fully make it all doom and gloom with availability is that Purdy misses games. He doesn't miss a large part of the season, and that's why you got like the Mac Jones to get you for those 1 to 2 games if he gets theirs. George Kittle misses games. he hasn't really been missing a lot. He misses like a solid 2 to 3, and it's always because of a random hamstring. And I feel like a lot of times it's just because they want to be precautionary. They don't want to force him to play, and where it forces them where it's like hold him out for one game or have him miss 5. Bosa last year was just.
But that's how it was with Trent Williams for like 10 years. It was like, oh, Trent's just gonna miss 2 games. It'll be fine. And then last year it was 7. It was like, well, that was disastrous.
Yeah, that ankle was not. So either they didn't let on exactly what was wrong with it, or it's just really his age showing now. Because he said he didn't get right until February, but that injury happened like in early November, sometime in November. So 1, 2, that man, I know high ankle sprains can range from like 6 to 12 weeks, but that was a long time when he said that. Oh, February, and I'm just like, what? And like they were so hush hush about it.
Every time the Niners draft a player, they're like, man, he's so tough. He played through all the injuries he had. I'm like, don't tell. So he had a lot of injuries? You're telling me he had a lot of injuries? How about one guy? You were like, man, this guy just didn't get injured in college. It was incredible. It was like, what an ability he had. Love to hear that. But the Niners are like, oh, you're healthy? Get the hell out of our facility. Who do you think you are? You don't have a close relationship with a surgeon? Fuck out of here.
I think if you're looking at like history wise with Williams, at least like, okay, like he didn't have anything like that before. And he was starting on like those championship Georgia teams, like balling out with the likes of Jalen Carter. So it's like, okay, like we can, if it's like those one-off injuries, I'm down and they weren't lingering too bad, even though his apparently lingered in a private workout in March. But like Ricky Pearsall, they knew he had like a shoulder and he was in the blue jersey and OTAs was limited. And then he didn't, it's like, oh my God, dude, like this guy, like I picture him like the guy who's on a constant, and he's not even that injury prone yet. He's like one injury away from getting there, but I just picture him like always like with his shoulder, his hamstring twice. Like he's just always like, he's just wrapped in a bandage like all the time. Like we're just like, my guys.
I feel like Frank Gore ruined the 49ers organization because they got him and he was like the greatest 3rd round pick in franchise history. And they're like, well, injuries must not mean anything. I mean, who cares if you tear your ACL 3 times in college? You could be Frank Gore. It's like, no. First of all, Frank Gore wasn't a 1st or 2nd round pick. You got him at the right spot. It was still kind of a risk. No one knew what was going to happen, and he worked out. Like, you don't do this in rounds 1 and 2 back to back. That's what they did this year. I didn't realize it, but both of these guys were hurt at their pro day. I mean, Michael Williams ran a slow forward, and people were like, well, he's still kind of dealing with that ankle. And at Alfred Collins' pro day, he re-aggravated the calf injury that's kept him out of every single practice so far this offseason. So back-to-back risks, and you're kind of hoping when you have your jobs on the line or you're coming off a 6-11 season, you got to get it right to take as little risks as possible.
It's probably revisionist history, but I do remember at the time when the draft was going on and they took Collins, I don't remember who. It's not anyone that specifically covers the 49ers, like wrote or tweeted that they didn't like the Collins pick because you still could have got a run on of those big tackles like in round 3 still like defensive tackles like Alfred Collins. Like there's plenty of those guys. There's plenty of Alfred Collinses, I guess, on day 3, and you could have gone somewhere else. And I'm just like, dang, that sounded bad. Because at first everything sounds all hopeful, right? Like, oh my God, Jackson Youth, he did this and that. And like, because you want to stay positive at first. You're briefly looking at these players. And then like as time goes on, it's like, yeah, now that I look about it, this is a little effed up. Kind of like in Step Brothers, when what's his name? Seth Rogen's just like, oh, hey, you guys, this is awesome. And then like once the fart happens, it's like right now the fart happened after OTAs, and you look back, it's like, no, this is a little fucked up, actually. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when they drafted Alfred Collins, I was like, okay, I get it. But then they drafted CJ West, and I'm like, okay, so you really, really doubled up at that position. And now I see CJ West in person, and he's a big dude who's healthy, and he looks like he's going to be able to contribute right away. And you go back and look at Collins, like, why did you need this guy in round 2 who's hurt? Yeah, he's a little bit bigger than West, but if he's just Javon Kinlaw 2.0, a guy who came into the league injured and you couldn't ever really like rehabilitate him, then I don't know, it's going to look bad, but I don't want to get too doom and gloomy because they haven't lost a game yet, but they're gonna. Justin says the Niners keep trying to reinvent the wheel by drafting undersized offensive linemen late. Injured players and players who only fit their scheme. 9 years of this. Shake my head. They do like the injured players, man. I feel like somewhere Parag Marathe has done symposiums on the benefits of drafting players who've already been under the knife. I don't know.